Good morning and welcome to Screener's Corner with a daily technical update. It is Thursday, the 2nd of May, and there was a lot of action last night in the US market and FX market, so let's get cracking. We had the supermicrocomputer, which is the stock of the day today, that just dipped to test a 698 support here for the second time, and the 100 moving average. It is in a downtrend, as you can see, lower lows and lower highs. Negative RSI indicating we are likely to see lower levels, but a really strong support around these levels here at 698 and 663. So those need to be broken before further sell-off down to around 500. To reverse the trend, well, it does need to close above a 911 and above the upper falling trend line here, and that first indication of that would be closing the gap here, which I don't see at the moment. But again, keep an eye on those levels because things can rapidly change. Quick look at Hang Seng index that closed it just around the 18,173 resistance level. Bullish sentiment, potential up to around 18,844, maybe even spiking up to 19,000. In the US market, S&P 500 had a very volatile day, as you can see. We started lower, spiked higher, and then collapsed again towards the end of the session, and actually closed a little bit lower. We are in a bearish trend, negative sentiment. I think we will see a test of the 49.53 support here fairly soon. You can also check out the written analysis I did yesterday on Nasdaq and S&P 500, including levels on the US NAS 100 and US 500 CFDs. They are all in there. Also Nasdaq lower, also after a heavy session. Support 16,963. That should be observed. I think it will come under pressure. We are below the cloud. We are below basically all moving averages, but apart from the 200 moving average, obviously. So really looking heavy on that front. European markets. Seems like we are going to test the support at 4,888 on the EuroStoxx50. If it does close below, and if we do get the RSI to close below 40 threshold, well then you could expect a sell-off down to this gap area here at 48.12, 47.75. That is a fairly strong support, where we also have the 100 moving average coming up, giving some support. The DAX index. It was closed. Most European markets was closed yesterday, but we are opening a little bit lower also on DAX here, as you can see. Key support 17,620, and just very quickly on the CFD, also rejected there several times, and there's downside pressure. Amsterdam index 883, which is closed below several times after 4 tries. And that is the key level to close above for upside potential. Here we have the CFD that actually has traded higher, but it is, at the end of the day, it is the cash index. It is the actual index that decides where to move to. CAC 40 looks heavy again this morning, 0.8% down. Key support 78.75. Observe that, and it is a gap area here. Gaps are really important in the market, where you see some really strong support. You also have the 100 moving out. I would not be surprised if we see it dipping below and actually testing, but not closing below the gap, lower gap area at first take at least. SMI. Also a little bit, well, actually a little bit higher this morning, but it is in a downtrend and still potentially down to around 11,000. Now we get to the volatility part. We had euro dollar bouncing yesterday, and I have now set this range here between, we can actually also put it down there, but I think that will be the range 106.65, 106.50 to the downside, and 107.53, 55 to the upside. It needs to break out of this range here for further downside or upside. RSI negative sentiment, I believe we will see low levels in euro dollar, but it is not unlikely we could see a spike up to 108 in a correction phase. So really keep your stops tight and keep an eye on those levels there. Cable, basically still just humming around. It needs to close below 124.49 or break below, I would say, break below for downtrend to resume, and I think it will. We will see that to appear with the negative RSI sentiment. Yen pairs, extremely volatile day against yesterday. After the FOMC meeting, especially massive sell-off, dipping below the lower rising trend line, dipping below to down to the 786 retracement of this entire uptrend. No, sorry, of the last leg up here of this uptrend, just around 153, and then a bounce, trying to get back above the rising trend line. What is interesting is RSI is still in a positive sentiment. There's no divergence, indicating that we are likely to see dollar yen trading higher. I mean, higher than at these close levels here in the coming times. But again, extremely volatile, and I expect that to continue a bit. If it takes out the peak of yesterday, which is 158, well, then I think we will see higher levels above 160 and a quarter. Euro yen also dipped below the support here at 165.35 to the 786 retracement, only to close it back above, and we could now be caught in this range here, and I would like to see it breaking back above the 61.8 retracement at 168.77 for further upside potential, but similar to dollar yen, we still have the RSI showing positive sentiment and no divergence. As you can see, this peak here is the highest of them all. So it is indicating we're likely to see higher levels on yen pairs. In general, we also have the Aussie yen that dipped below the 61.8. It didn't dip below all the way down to the 786, but it actually touched and just dipped below 100. Only to close well above, and also here I think we will see it slowly crawling higher in the coming days and weeks. Sterling yen also dipped just a tad below the 786 retracement of this little leg up there, and it was also just around the 38.2 retracement of the entire leg up, entire uptrend since last year. So also here we have a positive sentiment. We have no divergence, indicating we are likely to see yen pairs crawling slowly higher in coming days and weeks. Aussie dollar that was rejected at 786 retracement here at 65.84. Below the cloud, I think selling pressure will resume. We are negative sentiment, so we should see selling pressure resuming after this the past couple of days. A little bit of a correction here. I think we'll see it moving lower in the coming weeks. We also had a little bit of a short-term correction after the massive move here Monday, and then we have a little bit of correction, but we are in an uptrend, and I think we will just set it back a little bit to around 137, and then I think it will slowly start moving higher. If it does take out the lows here from at 136.32, well, then that scenario has been demolished, but other than that, it actually looks like we are moving higher. EuroStoxx failed to get all the way up to the previous peak at 98.48, 98.50. Got hit by selling this morning. Let's see where the day ends. If we will get a correction, we can actually, what we can do, we can add a little bit of a retracement to it here and see, okay, can we get a little bit of correction down to the 38 at 97.33? It is not unlikely that we will get there. If we're looking at the bigger picture, we can see, well, this really is a strong resistance here at 98.40, 98.50. Dollar Swiss, short term looks quite stretched. We talked about it yesterday. After this move, we could actually move higher, but look at what's happening here. We do have As you can see here, this is RSI divergence. You can see how the peaks are, or the value is dropping while the market moved higher, the price moved higher on dollar Swiss. So key support at 90 should be observed. It seems like it's running out of steam. The dollar index rejected at 106.33 and now caught in this range, and I will actually just add a little bit of a horizontal line there, say that is the range and the peak yesterday, and now here 105.27. Breakout from there, that's the direction. Also a bit of roller coaster day yesterday, for the past couple of days for gold traders. Dip below the 50% retracement of this uptrend here, but we are in a bearish trend short term. As you can see, lower lows and lower highs. Key resistance 23.53. A break above that, then I think we'll see gold resuming uptrend. But for now, I think we will, over the next couple of days, we'll see a correction down to around 22.50. Not unlikely dipping lower. I did a written analysis a couple of days ago. Check that one out. We had divergence on the RSI indicating that the uptrend in gold, short term at least, has been a bit stressed. Also, silver still under pressure, could dip below to the low to the 25.60 support area and the 786 retracement here in the coming days, before I think we will see buyers coming back in, but it is in a downtrend, at least for now. Very quickly on copper, still we have this. Let's see, close of 67.95. 67.90, so it's not a real bearish engulfing, but nevertheless it does look like it really is taking out. So I would treat it as such. Let's say this is a short-term correction that is looming for copper. And what we can do, we can actually estimate how low it can drop if we have a correction unfolding. Right there, at least down to 441, possibly a bit lower. So those are levels to look out for. On the WTI crude oil, we had massive sell-off the past couple of days in crude oil in general. We have this little, it's not the strongest trend line, but I think we could see a dip down to the 100 moving average coming up here and the lower rising trend line here on WTI. Not sure it will take out the cloud area, so let's see, but we are in a negative sentiment on the RSI, so it looks fairly heavy at the moment. And as you can see, lower lows, lower high, lower low. There is some support down here around the 76, 77 area that should be observed, but they're not that strong. We also had Brent crude oil below the 84.75 support, and also actually below the lower rising trend line at the moment. The 100 moving average will give some support, but we are in a negative trend, confirmed also with the RSI below 40 threshold. Strong support around 81, 40, 50, around these levels here, that we could dip down to, but then I think we'll see a bounce back. And finally, on let's have a quick look at cocoa, because I know everyone is talking about it. A massive sell-off again yesterday, still keeping itself above 77.16 at the lower part of this little correction level here. But we are in a negative center. I think we'll see cocoa dipping lower in the coming days and weeks. Maybe not weeks, but at least days. US 10-year didn't move that much yesterday after FOMC meetings and Powell speech and all that, but I think we will see it sliding lower a little bit towards the 450 and minor correction going on, but the overall trend is still up until we start breaking these rising trend line, and especially if we drop below 430. All right, that's all for today. Have a nice day and happy trading.